I echo the mayor's comments, and I have to say, and I sent an email right after I got through the first 178 pages, that it was really easy to read for a layperson and easy to digest, and it was apparent that the staff and the department heads put a lot of thought into recognizing the goals that they had accomplished for this last fiscal year and setting future goals as well. And so with that, I do have a lot of questions and notes, and I'll start at the top. So one thing that I didn't really see was, and this is for planning, additional plan checkers or building inspectors to accommodate some of the new construction. And I'm wondering about if that is something that is needed. There you are. I was like, I saw you all in here somewhere. I was looking around.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Golder, and good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I'm Lee Butler, Director of Planning and Community Development for the city. And yes, that is a consistent challenge, the plan checkers and inspection staff. We actually have vacancies in both of those parts of our building division right now. And really, it's a matter of being able to recruit those individuals. We've had open recruitments for 20 plus months now and had an inability to fill those. And so we did not request additional positions because in part we've got positions that are vacant that we're not able to fill. But I will note that if we have projects continue to come in, then we've got to provide those services. We do that through our third party. We may need to rely on more third-party inspection services as well as more construction begins to start up. And that presents its own challenges as well, but we have not requested additional staff for the aforementioned reasons.
I've been watching yours and the police department, both of you guys having trouble with recruitment, and I'm wondering if compensation's a factor and if there's ways we can look at that. And I'm wondering, do you, for lateral transfers, how do you compare to other, for I guess both PD and for building? Do you count people's years of service? And I know.
Well, I can speak to the building part, not the PD part.
Yeah.
As it relates to building, we recently, with the adjustments that were done in February, we adjusted up to be 10% below market. We were slightly below that before, even at that position, it's challenging to recruit. There's a lot of exciting projects that are happening here in the city, and so we try to encourage applicants based on the type of projects they'll get to work on. But it's not exclusive to the city. I will say it is a challenging recruiting environment in the building division in cities throughout the state. I know that's the case in the three other cities that I've worked in, and the private sector can outcompete us when it comes to that.
And so then I think to my question is, and maybe it's a process question, if I have some recommendations, this is not the time, or this is the time?
Actually, it is.
Okay, then I have a recommendation that I'd like to propose, that we look at some of the positions that are habitually vacant and hard to fill, and look at making, and I don't know how, making adjustments to the compensation in those to make them more desirable, at least compared to other jurisdictions near us.
As to process.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can agree on something here. So today is essentially our first public look at the budget. We've all been sharing it since it came out over the weekend. We will have another opportunity. A way to do this, we can do this a couple of ways. We do it quite formally. We can do motions and all of that. Another way to do it is we'll use your example. You are asking a question. Could you return on or before the last day of budget hearings with a response to this issue? we'll just do that, so council members can get their questions, you can respond. Does anyone feel the need to do that by motion? Are we all right doing this a little less formally? Very good. Please proceed.
So that was my first one, is I just want to look at some of those really hard positions to fill in terms of compensation.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment, Councilmember Golder, and it's certainly something that we're very concerned about across all of our departments. We are going to be embarking on an updated compensation study. Retention and attraction are one of the data points we look at as we're looking about level setting compensation for any particular position. So that is work that we will be embarking on. I want to also just note that we are approaching the tail end of a 3-year MOU with all of our bargaining groups. So come the tail end of this year and early next year, we'll be sitting down at the table with our groups again, and of course, talking through, among other topics, compensation as well. So more to come on that, but appreciate that direction and something that we will be working on.
And I don't know what the best way to do this is with different departments or what, but in terms of building department too, I just know that some of our projects are exempt from impact fees. And I would like to take a look at exploring having all projects pay some sort of impact fees, not to make them, unfeasible. But I think with the amount of development, there's certainly impact to parks, there's certainly impacts to public safety and childcare and things like that. And so I would be interested in seeing that.
We agree with you, and we do plan on bringing some proposals back to the council this fiscal year. More to come on that. And one of those examples is our public safety impact fee that doesn't apply, for example, to affordable housing projects. Mm-hmm. So we have been having some discussion around charging perhaps a prorated percentage in those projects to better capture the additional demands that it places on our public safety services. So we will be bringing those proposals back to the council.
Okay. Is it okay if I just keep going? Please okay. Do. So fire engines, and I'm sorry if I'm not saying it right. I know there's trucks and engines and they all are different things. And I know one of the ones that's in there, I understand we're getting from a grant. And so that's where we learned at the Public Safety Committee. But I know we've had challenges getting fire equipment in the past. And so I just wonder if there's a schedule for replacing that equipment. And I want to make sure that we're ready for that.
Appreciate that comment. Replacing an apparatus is a major investment, as I'm sure you could appreciate, Councilmember Golder. Chief Odie and his team have developed a replacement schedule. Just over the last couple of fiscal years, we've been fortunate to fund 2 apparatus replacements, and we have plans for replacing others as they reach the end of their useful life. We're not always in any particular fiscal year in a position to do so based on how things are pacing, but it is an area that we have been prioritizing.
Thank you. The next one with Parks and Rec. And this one kind of goes back up. I saw the demolition of the Pogonip Clubhouse as an unfunded project right now, but I'm wondering if there's a way with putting an idea of doing some sort of improvements up there that will help facilitate active recreation other than mountain biking and hiking. If the homeless garden project isn't going to land there, maybe pivoting in some way. I've got lots of ideas, but I'm sure other people do too. But I just wanted to say, if we're tearing that down, I just don't want to see it become more encampments up there. And not that that's a huge draw for people, but just looking at activating that space.
I'm going to ask Tony Elliott to come up on that one. We do have a master plan for the Pogonip open space area, and there are elements of it that are no longer relevant.
Exactly.
Tony and I have been having some conversations around potentially taking a fresh look and, of course, engaging the community and what those options could be. But I'll let Tony dive in on that.
Parks Director is recognized. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for that question, Vice Mayor Golder. Lots going on in Pogonip. As the city manager mentioned, we have an older Pogonip master plan that may be ripe to relook at, or at least components of that. We don't have budget for that right now. We don't have that in the budget or really a timeline for that. But there's opportunity to look at Pogonip, I believe, as a whole, from a trail standpoint, from a broader use standpoint, from a maintenance standpoint as well. And this pertains to the Pogonip Clubhouse currently. So the clubhouse is in disrepair. It is currently red tagged. It really has, we've sort of scaled back on fire suppression on that facility. Our vendors and contractors are really no longer willing to service that building because it is collapsing, it's failing. We collectively, I say that, Parks and Recreation, the building department, and the fire department have collaborated on this a lot. We've monitored the condition of the building. We've had engineers and architects look at the building. It is in disrepair and really needs to be raised or decommissioned, torn down. And so that was not included in the budget. And so we are looking at what that process might be to really consider that. That's a big policy decision for the city council. And so we really want to bring that in a more complete way to the council before we take any steps forward on that. But a lot of work to do there as it relates to the building and the park as a whole. And happy to work on proposals in terms of a planning process that we could bring back to the council for consideration.
I don't have any ideas today, but I just think when you have that in there and whether or not homeless garden lands there, we should probably revisit it at some point in the next year would be a hope. Okay, thank you. The other thing as relates to Poganip, and more for PD, is I know there's a lot of encampments up there. The head of the mountain trail, I can't remember her name right now, mentioned that, and I've had my own experiences. Would it be possible to get e-bikes for the police department to do some patrols up there? I also think about, I don't know if anyone follows the Portland Bicycle Police, but they do some amazing things with their little e-bikes up in Portland in terms of patrols.
The police chief is recognized. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. We actually already have e-bikes. A lot of it comes down to staffing.
Got it, okay.
As far as being able to patrol those open spaces. But I think you did mention it. You saw in our future goals, it is a priority of ours to build up our staffing to the point where we have more proactive public safety presence in our parks and open spaces. So I think you will see some more progress there moving forward, but it's not about the equipment, it's about the staff.
Okay, thank you. And I hate to bounce around, but as long as you're standing there, we did talk about something at public safety, and I'll bring it up now, is we would like to look at organizing and maybe with community partners a fireworks display maybe in the summer of 2025 on the 4th of July that's organized. We talked about it at public safety as a way that it might prevent people from doing illegal fireworks, and it was such a huge success at the boardwalk 2 weekends ago. And so we thought maybe other community partners might be willing to contribute financially because they know it's a big expense, but having, as we know, something positive for people to do usually keeps people from doing what they're not supposed to do. So I don't know if you have any comments for that.
Yeah, I know years ago, the city used to do something on 4th of July. I think it's something, it's kind of how well we manage it and plan it ahead of time, because I think it will potentially prevent some of the illegal activities, but I think some, because of the holiday, will still partake in their own individual celebrations. So it really could potentially stretch our resources really thin by attracting a lot of people from outside of the area.
Thank you. I feel like I'm going kind of all over the place. Does somebody else want to?
You don't need